shonga chuji anji podrana toksen sanji kanji konit razme shurga muzme stunza bar sawe lama namla sorwade kirbe sanji chuva shigda nyamba drupa shumla tanta sanjine manere dambe janso lodo janso shabla sorwade Lame Josme Janso Toje Dang Shirke Kuru Pema Shunlachi Shenru Zunga Kelwe Nyuku Ye Tanta Drupa Tanjina Drupara Ho Ranjin Lame Drambe Kajela Cosme Jaro Shidro Lazoche Rale Jana Nepere Tujo Tuyo Yurmi Chivara Shinji Lo Everybody raised bodhicitta to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. May all beings be free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. May they have happiness and all the causes of happiness. May they never be separated from the great happiness, devoid of suffering. And may they forever dwell in the great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. To sacred bodhicitta, the precious and excellent mind, where it is not, may it arise. Where it is, may it never decline, consistently growing, rising higher and higher. And we carry on these most incredible practices, the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, by Togme Zampo. And already we've got to the last 7 verses. And what we'll carry on with today is we'll skip verse 31 for today, and we'll start with verse 32, and we'll do 32, verse 33, and verse 34. And these are predominantly to do with our speech and to be taking care of how we talk and what we say. So I'll go straight into verse 32. The practice of all bodhisattvas is never to speak ill of others who have embarked upon the great vehicle. For if under the influence of destructive emotions I speak of other bodhisattvas' failings, it is I who am at fault. So the greater vehicle here, of course, is the bodhicitta, the vehicle of bodhicitta, the practice of great perfection as well. And it's very negative karma. It's looked upon very negatively to criticize a bodhisattva. And why? Because the path of the bodhicitta, the bodhisattva, is the path that we're embarking on. This is what we wish to attain. And if we criticize the actions of bodhisattvas, then we're criticizing the path and the result that we want to attain. So all that we're doing is that we are creating obstacles for ourselves, and obstacles for ourselves attaining enlightenment. And the other reason as well is that we really don't know the intention and the motivation of the bodhisattva. So what happens is that we see that sometimes maybe it's our own destructive emotions, because of them, that we are talking about the bodhisattvas. We're criticizing other people. Why? So often we're looking at it from my point of view, the way I see it. And so often the way we see it, our point of view, is really quite limited. Somebody or a bodhisattva may really be doing things to benefit other sentient beings. Look at these great teachers. What they're thinking of is they're thinking of everybody. They're thinking of all sentient beings and how to benefit all sentient beings. And then we come from our narrow perspective, from our narrow perception, and we think, this is wrong. What do they think they're doing? Who do they think they are? And we say things, we say negative things. And what we're doing then is sometimes we are creating obstacles to them benefiting others. It could really be that they're trying to benefit somebody, they're using an approach to benefit these people, to reach out to these people, to be able to help these people. And because we see it in a different way, we say things. And what we say then creates obstacles. We might say to people, oh, don't listen to this person. Do you really believe what they're saying? Put doubt in their minds. And then by doing this or criticizing them, then other people don't believe what these bodhisattvas are saying, or they don't have as much belief in these bodhisattvas. Maybe they're new on the path and they're very easily influenced. And they think, oh yes, this person has been practicing for a while, and maybe they must be right. So maybe I shouldn't believe what this bodhisattva is saying, what this teacher is saying. So what happens is sometimes it creates obstacles when the bodhisattva is really wanting or wishing to benefit others. Maybe the intention, the motivation of that bodhisattva is very vast, is really to benefit. But because our view is limited, we don't see it that way, and so we criticize it. So we have to ask ourselves first, is our criticism really objective? Is that really what's happening? So it's okay to go and ask and say, listen, this is the way I see it. Is this right? Is this correct? Have I got some misunderstanding here? And then once you've clarified it, then you can say, okay, yes, maybe I should say something. Maybe there has been a mistake here, and then maybe we can rectify it with the bodhisattva or the person that is trying to help, rather than just using the way we see it. And also as well, who are bodhisattvas? So those that have attained enlightenment, those that are really, every moment, generally, whatever they're doing for the benefit of others. They've realized the true nature of mind. They really are working for others to be free from suffering, and to have all the causes of happiness, and to have happiness, and for them to be free from the causes as well of suffering. And how do we check this? Of course, most important is motivation. And then also as well, it also includes those people that have taken the vow to bodhicitta, to attain the state of bodhisattva. So even although they may not have attained enlightenment, they still have this intention, they've still made this vow. And so if we criticize them, we're also criticizing a bodhisattva. This also includes somebody who has made this vow, but for the time being is maybe a little bit lost. Maybe they're encountering some obstacles, but they've still made this vow, and there's a good chance they're going to come back to it soon. So don't criticize them either. The other thing as well is we don't have this vast state of mind. So then we go and we criticize somebody else, and the person we're criticizing may well be a bodhisattva. But we don't realize it. These great teachers, these great realizers, so often, or in reality, they look just like us. It looks like they're just like us, but their state of mind is so different to ours. So they could be amongst us, doing things to benefit others, and we don't even realize it. We don't even know that they're bodhisattvas. So we could be thinking that we're just criticizing some arbitrary person. And in reality, we're criticizing a bodhisattva. And in reality, every single one of us has Buddha nature. So what you're doing when we're criticizing is we're criticizing Buddha nature. So be very careful about criticism. As we said earlier, if you really clarify what's going on, and if there is really a cause to criticize, then of course say something. But first, as Lama Atuk Rinpoche often says, first, before we go and say something, first check, is it maybe something within ourselves? We call the insiders. Why? Because we transform ourselves first. First have a look, see, is the problem first with myself? Is it because I have some kind of competitive view, or I'm jealous, or I'm angry, or there's some kind of arrogance, or I have some kind of desire or attachment? And if it's that, then first rectify that, transform that, and then after that, if there still is a need to go and speak to somebody else, then go and speak to them. And then maybe say, look, maybe what you're doing is maybe not the right thing. Rather take the attitude, wow, so many of these other people, they really are really great practitioners. They really are wonderful practitioners. They're much better than me. So you hear the stories of people saying, somebody slandering somebody and saying, oh, this person is this or this person is that, and somebody saying, well, maybe, but they're much better than me. and also, as practitioners, if somebody comes and slanders somebody else, then often what you say is, oh, because we must change the way we think, change our way of thinking and speaking. We can sometimes say, oh, I thought you were such a good practitioner. And now you come and say these things to me. And then that person will really think about whether they come and say negative things about other people again. All that we do is when we criticize is often we create negative karma for ourselves, we create negativity for ourselves and for others. And also, sometimes what happens is some people, they meet a teacher and they really like this teacher, and for a while they really think this is so fantastic. But then afterwards, after a few months or after a few years, they then meet another teacher. And then they go and say, oh, the previous teacher wasn't so good, that teacher was this, that teacher was that, this new teacher is so special. And then after a while, then they meet even another teacher. And then they go to the new teacher and they follow the new teacher, and then they tell everybody, wow, this teacher is the most fantastic teacher. This teacher is so special. That other teacher, the first and the second one, they're not as great as this teacher. What actually happens is sometimes it may really be the case. The new teacher may really be fantastic and much better. But remember, the teacher before, they've helped you on the path. Anybody that has taught you even a sentence of Dharma has been your teacher. So keep a mind of gratitude. And yes, you have every right to go to the other teachers, but remember that the other teacher, the teachers before, even if they're not as good, they've helped you on the path. Due to them, you've now progressed to then meeting your next teacher. The teacher then that you think is so much better, or that you find so much better. The other thing is that be careful that you're not creating a habit that you get restless after every 3 years or every few months, and then you move to the next teacher, and then you move to the next teacher, and you never settle down with one teacher, a teacher that's really going to take you right through to the end. So just make sure that you're not creating habits of moving on, and never settling. This is also important. And also, beware of what you're saying as well, because it's very important not to create separation in the groups. Often you hear these great teachers, they joke and they laugh and they say, within the enlightened Sangha, they wish for everybody to work together to create unity. And then you get the unenlightened Sangha. And often in that Sangha, they talk about other people. There's jealousy, there's competitiveness, there's a bit of arrogance. So sometimes these afflictive emotions that cause separation between groups, it's a very negative karma to try and break up the unity within a group. Be very careful of doing this. It really does create negative karma. And if we're talking about the practices of a bodhisattva, in the root vows of practicing as a bodhisattva, one of them is that you see and you realize that everything, the purity of everything. So if you're slandering things or you're criticizing other people, then in reality what you're showing is that you haven't really realized the true nature of mind. It's a good chance that you haven't realized the true nature of mind. So in this verse, as it says, is before you say anything, before you criticize, before you make negative comments or certain comments against other people, is really check first to see, is this really the case? And are you saying this out of your own negative emotions, your own subjectivity, rather than seeing what's happening objectively? And we're saying about purity as well. Also, it's just actually, in reality, the 5 aggregates are the 5 wisdoms when we realize the true nature of mind. The 5 afflictions become 5 wisdoms. And we see that everything is pure. And also, endeavor, keep on practicing. Check your intention. What is your intention? Is it to benefit other sentient beings? Check yourself. What are you practicing? Are you practicing the true path of bodhicitta? Are you doing this, one, for your own benefit for this life, or your benefit for next life, because we realize the reality of karma and reincarnation, for your own enlightenment, or for the benefit of all sentient beings? Always, as best as you can, do it for the benefit of all sentient beings. And with others as well, practice patience. Alright? When people are just beginning, they're going to make mistakes, they're going to have misunderstandings. So if you've been practicing for a while, have patience on these other people. Treat them kindly, help them, guide them as best as possible. Don't be quick to have a look and see what maybe they're doing wrong. Always look, what are the strong points of other people? Look at your own negativities, your own weak points, and do your best to gradually change your own negative points. We also started somewhere. We also required the patience and love and kindness of others. So just like we have appreciated and benefited from the kindness and patience of others, other people also will benefit from your patience, your kindness, and your guidance. Verse 33. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to let go of attachment to the households of benefactors and of family and friends, since one's study, reflection and meditation will all diminish when one quarrels and competes for honors and rewards. So of course over here, it is be very careful of competing with other people. When we're competitive with other people, so when we are competitive or when we're jealous, what happens is it causes disharmony amongst the group, amongst people, and sometimes we get distracted. We get more involved in competing than actually practicing the Dharma. So the best is to practice from the state of the true nature of mind. The best is to practice from a state of Rigpa. And be careful. This is especially for those of us that really benefit or have the great, how can I say, that really benefit from the kindness of other people. Other people really help us. They give us a place to stay. They give us food. They give us clothing. But sometimes what happens is we say, oh, when I was younger, I really used to like this, or this is what I really like. And why do we tell them? Not just out of general information, is because in reality, we really wish that they would just buy us something nice. And this is what we would like. So what we're hinting at is out our own attachment. That we want something, we have this attachment, we have this desire, and it's not really in the practice of the Dharma. So be very careful of trying to influence other people so that we can get what we want, not necessarily what is beneficial. We really have the benefit, the kindness, due to the kindness, the generosity of others, we have this opportunity to practice. And sometimes it's very difficult to be honest with oneself, to look really clearly, see clearly what really is my motivation, what really is my intention. So always be very mindful, very aware. Watch with great vigilance what is going on in your mind. Otherwise, what we say is we have one more of those, and then through one more of those, then we want another one, then we want another one. And what happens is then a habit starts. And then it's very difficult to break that habit. But we'll speak more about vigilance and awareness next week and about habits. So we practice to verse 34. Carry on to verse 34. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to avoid harsh words, which others might find unpleasant or distasteful. Since abusive language upsets the minds of others, it thereby undermines the bodhisattva's conduct. Here again, we're talking about our speech. Watch our speech very carefully. And this can be especially for people in places of authority. Those people in a position of power, of authority, of influence, be very careful of how you speak to other people. Don't undermine people. Don't talk down on them. Don't use harsh words. Why? Because when we speak like this, what we're actually doing is we're setting an example. And then we set the example for other people that are following in our footsteps. And they then think that it's okay to speak like this. It's okay to act like this. And what we're actually doing is that we then undermine the very thing that we're trying to establish, which is love and kindness and compassion and patience. And then they start to do the same as well. And then when you shout at them or you moan at them and tell them not to speak like this or not to act like this, they feel confused. Why? You've been acting, you've been speaking like this, but you tell me not to act like this and speak like this. So rather speak to people with kindness, with encouragement, help to develop them. And also harsh speech. Speak kindly, speak warmly. Harsh speech isn't very favorable. It doesn't help to benefit other people. Don't use these negative words or speak, using slang. Rather, speak properly, clearly, as I said, with warmth, with kindness. And be very careful of idle talk as well. There's some people that really have very useful things to say, but they have a habit of talking too much. And when they talk too much, what happens is eventually people lose their concentration. They don't listen so much anymore. They get distracted. So all those valuable things that you have to say, people don't listen. They don't hear it because they don't have that attention span. If you can say it in a few minutes, say it in a few minutes. Speak clearly. Speak to the point. Also, if you get involved with a lot of idle talk, what happens is that you waste your time. And you waste the time of others. They could be practicing. They could be doing other beneficial things. But what happens is you consume their time and your own time through talking. Talking also uses up a lot of energy. So it uses up their energy as well. Lama Atuk Rinpoche often used to say as well, he used to say, if you're distracted and you don't feel like practicing, don't go and disturb everybody else. Rather read a book or go to sleep rather than going to interfere or to disturb other people and affect their practice. And also be very careful of slander. There's a wonderful story in the Bible where there's a son. His father gives him a lot of advice, but he always doesn't want to take the advice of his father. And for years he speaks negatively about his father, criticizes his father, slanders his father. And then after a few years he realizes what his father said is actually very true. And he goes to his father and he apologizes. He says, I've suddenly realized all the things that you said to me were true, and I'm really sorry. His father says, no problem, but you know that pillow on your bed? In those days, I don't know if it is, maybe still today, filled with down feathers. He says, bring it with me, bring it with you. And they go, and he takes his son up the tower in this town, and it's quite a high tower, and it's a windy day. And when they get to the top, his father says, rip open your feather pillow and spread out. Let all of these feathers fly out into the wind. So his son rips open the pillow and lets all the feathers fly out into the wind, and they scatter all over the town. And his father says, you see all those feathers? Go and fetch them again. And his son says, it's a windy day. Those feathers will be all over town. It's going to be nearly impossible to bring back, or to fetch and to find all those feathers. His father said, yes. And just as difficult as it is to fetch all those feathers and to find them again, it's going to be more difficult to bring back all of those negative words that you've spoken. So be very careful again. Very important, the emphasis of today. Be very careful of what you say. Don't slander. Be careful of criticizing. Be careful of your idle talk. Sometimes we talk because we just feel uncomfortable. We don't like the silence. We think it's better to speak to to say something. Or we think if we say something, we'll sound clever. Sometimes when we try to sound clever, we say negative things. We say things that are actually hurtful or harmful to others. So be very careful of what we say. What we say has actually got great creativity, and I think it can help to manifest. What we can say can actually manifest. So what are we manifesting? What are we saying? And also, we have the gift of speech. So whatever we say, we give to others. As soon as we say it, it leaves our mouth, we give it to others. So when we buy gifts for others, when we buy a present for somebody else, we consider what would they like, what could benefit them, what can they use, what will they enjoy, what will make them happy. Similarly, when we say something to somebody, it's a gift. We're going to give them something. Be very careful. Consider the same way. What am I going to give them? Is it something that's going to benefit them? Is it something that's going to help them? Is it something that's going to make them happy? Let's take a lot of care in what we gift other people with our speech. What we're going to say before we open our mouths. We'll finish off these teachings next week. So let's dedicate these merits. First, in the greatest of gratitude, to Gyalwe Nyugu Rinpoche, to Achuk Lam, Trulga Arik Rinpoche, all our perfect teachers, in the greatest of gratitude. Because due to them, we learn about the Dharma, we learn about transforming our mind and benefiting others. Sonam daye tamcha tsepanye tobne nyepe tranang kajeja keka nachir balang trupai tsipi tsoli droa sho. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience, having defeated the enemies of wrongdoings in the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness and death. May all be liberated from the suffering of the ocean of samsara.